Now listen close, yeah, because I'm talking to you and no one else right here and now. Even if 1,000 voices are buzzing all around, this one's just for your ears. Yes, you, the one who almost didn't hit play, the one who nearly turned away again because you've learned to expect nothing. The one so used to being overlooked that hope feels like a stranger knocking on a door you stopped opening long ago. I see you. I've always seen you. While the world walked right through you like you were made of glass, while folks passed by without so much as meeting your eyes, while you sat in rooms full of laughter feeling all alone, I was watching. Not with pity, but with purpose. 'Cause there's something I gotta tell you today, something that can't wait no longer. Not another hour, not another breath, not another beat of that tired heart in your chest. You weren't forgotten. No, sir. You were hidden. And there's a mighty big difference between the two. One that'll change everything you thought you knew about the quiet you've been living through. Now I want you all to picture this real good. See it deep down in your spirit's eye. Above all the noise of your daily grind, past the ceiling of what your hands can touch, there's a vast, shining kingdom where your story's been heard and your judgment made. The chains that held tight to your money troubles, the curses hanging heavy over your relationships, the weight that pressed down on your dreams, all of it's being handled by a power older than time itself, stronger than any force that ever stood against you. You ain't climbing this mountain by yourself. There's hands you can't see lifting you up, voices you can't hear praising and praying on your behalf, and standing at the front is a warrior of fire, whose very presence makes the darkness run scared, the great prince fighting for those heavens chosen, whose blades never lost a single fight. Now let me speak right to that question that's been eating at your heart through those long, sleepless nights. Why did it take so long? If I was always watched over, always chosen, why the endless wait, like wandering through a never-ending wilderness? Listen close now, because this answer will heal a hurt you've carried too long. The wait was never rejection. No, sir, the wait was preparation. What you felt as being forgotten was really the most personal kind of care. The patient work of a craftsman who won't let his finest piece out the door before it's ready. You weren't ignored in those long years. You were shaped in secret, molded by a hand so skilled that even the pain was measured. Even the wait had purpose. Even the silence was a kind of speaking. Think about how the most precious things come to be. Diamonds don't get their sparkle sitting in comfort. They're formed under pressure so fierce, anything weaker'd shatter. Deep down where no light reaches, over a time so long your mind can hardly grasp it. Gold ain't purified in kindness either. It's thrown into the fire, and that fire rises high until every false thing melts away and floats up to the top to be skimmed off, leaving behind only what's pure, unbreakable, and glowing. You, my dear, have been through that fire and pressure. Every disappointment burned away something that'd have held you back. Every betrayal taught you wisdom to protect you down the road. Every season of lack carved into you a hunger and humility that'll keep your feet steady when the blessings finally come. Nothing was wasted. Not a single thing. And there's more, 'cause that wait wasn't just preparation, it was protection too. There were things you cried out for, things you begged God to give you, things whose absence felt like cruel punishment. But let me tell you, some prayers that went unanswered were the greatest mercies of your life. There were doors you knocked on that, if they'd opened, would have led you straight to ruin. There were folks you mourned losing who would have been the very ones to bring your downfall. There were paths looking golden from afar, but ended in pits dug by hands meant to harm you. The same love that held back your blessings also shielded you from disaster, and one day when you see the full picture, when that veil lifts, you'll fall to your knees, grateful for every single thing that didn't happen the way you wanted. The polishing of your soul took time, 'cause what's being built in you ain't temporary. Quick blessings are shallow blessings. What comes overnight can vanish just as fast, but what's forged slow, rooted deep, and tested strong, that endures through every storm that follows. You were being made into someone who could carry the weight of destiny without being crushed, someone who could hold the blessings without being spoiled, someone who could stand tall at the peak of their calling without forgetting the valleys that taught him compassion. That long, hard road was the only road that could bring you here whole, and here you are at last. Now I want you to open your spirit's eye wide and see something few ever get to see, like you're standing right in the middle of it. Lift your gaze and behold the kingdom where your battle's already been fought. There's a vast light stretching beyond measure, and in it move beings so bright, messengers and warriors lined up in ranks like an army too big to count. The very air seems to hum, vibrating with a holiness so strong it'd overwhelm any unready soul. And right in the middle of it all there's stirring, a rush, a call going out, a decree being made, a name being called, and that name, Wonder of Wonders, is yours. See the great Prince of Heaven's army stepping forward, his form burning with a fire that cleanses, not destroys, his eyes sharp like flames cutting through every disguise the enemy ever wore. In his hands a blade made of pure light, a tool of justice that's cut countless chains and shattered countless curses through the ages. This warrior guards the chosen, standing between God's children and the forces trying to tear him down. Today he turns his eyes to your fight, to the battle waged over your life, and he raises that blade with a focus so fierce the very shadows tremble. There's 7 moves in the work he does for those heavens marked, 7 precise strikes of holy power, each one breaking a different kind of chain. One strike cuts the cords of generational curses, that heaviness passed down like a debt no one wanted. Another severs the ties of envy, those invisible ropes of bitterness others wrapped around your progress, those jealous eyes rejoicing in your falls. Another breaks the chains of fear, that freeze that kept you small, the dread whispering you didn't deserve more. With each strike, something breaks loose in the unseen, falling away and bringing a freedom to your life you might feel, but can't rightly explain. And right here, in the middle of this powerful truth, I gotta hand something to you. What I'm telling you now, this sacred knowledge of the 7 strikes, how the great prince's sword cuts every chain, it's been gathered and written down just for you. There's a digital guide, a sacred manual called The 7 Swords of St. Michael the Archangel, the sacred guide to break curses, seal blessings, and activate the calling of the chosen. Inside, you'll find the exact teachings most folks don't ever hear. You felt the invisible game playing out over your life, the feeling there's a bigger fight, where you ain't just watching from the sidelines but standing right in the center. This guide lays out the rules of that game, the rules they never taught you, showing how envy, curses, and silent attacks work against the chosen, and exactly how St. Michael's sword cuts each one away. Now you'll listen close, the link to this digital guide. It's sitting right at the very top of the comments, pinned up first thing, so you can find it the moment you start looking. And I'll be straight with you. This here knowledge ain't for the faint of heart. It challenges all those comfy stories folks tell themselves, the kind that keep souls snoozing. There've been plenty trying to hush it up, folks that didn't want the chosen ones finding out what really runs the unseen world. So don't wait. Take this moment, while the heavens lean in close and that blade's raised over your life, to grab that guide right now, and as an act of faith, as a bold declaration that you're answering the call being spoken over you today, leave a comment saying, "I am chosen and I will download the digital guide." Say it not just out of habit but as a promise, a line drawn in the sand between who you used to be and who you're fixing to become. 'Cause the very moment you say that, the moment you act on that stirring inside instead of letting it fade like all the times before, something locks into place in the spirit world. That blade that was raised, it finishes its swing. The strike waiting on your say-so falls true, and the chain that held you tight snaps with a sound that echoes through the unseen. Your act of faith? That's the fuel for the breakthrough you've been begging for. Can I want to take you even deeper into what's breaking loose over your life? 'Cause cutting away the old is just the start of a much bigger work. After the blade cuts those chains, the warrior don't just leave you standing in the rubble of what held you back. No, sir. He turns to the next big job, the sealing of blessings, and that's a wonder all its own. See, it ain't enough just to be free if what comes pouring in leaks away as fast as it arrives. So where those curses were cut, a seal of light is pressed down, a holy mark the enemy can't break, a shield guarding this new season like a strong wall guarding a town. What's sealed can't be stolen. It can't be undone by jealous whispers or schemes from those who wish you harm. The blessings coming your way, they ain't fragile little gifts that'll slip through your fingers. They're anchored, protected, backed by an authority no force in any realm can override. Then comes the third great work, the most exciting part, the activation of your calling itself. You weren't just rescued, no ma'am, you were commissioned. The very hand that cut your chains now lays an assignment on you, a purpose so specific that no soul in all creation could fill it but you. This here's the secret mission I talked about from the start, the reason the enemy fought so hard to keep you bound, the reason the attacks were so fierce and so personal. He knew what you carried. He knew if you ever stepped into your full purpose, you'd tear down darkness that stood for generations. So he tried to convince you that you were ordinary, forgettable, too broken to matter. But the trembling he feels right now, as you sit there waking up, tells the real story. You were never ordinary. You've been a threat to darkness since the day you took your first breath. Now fix your eyes on what comes next. The restoration after the liberation. 'Cause heaven don't do small returns. There's a principle built into the very fabric of everything, a principle of recompense. And it says, what was stolen from the chosen doesn't just come back, it comes back multiplied. The years that felt eaten up, the chances that slipped through your hands, the relationships poisoned, the resources draining away like water through open fingers, all of it's being gathered up and restored to you so abundantly it'll hush every doubt you ever had. The enemy thought he was robbing you, but he was only borrowing. Now that debt's being called in, with interest you can't even imagine. See that abundance start flowing into every corner of your life. In your finances, where lack pressed so hard you learn to want less just to get by, a provision's coming that breaks the cycle of barely enough and ushers in a season of overflow. You won't just have what you need, you'll have enough to need nothing, with plenty left to bless others. The chosen ain't blessed to hoard, but to be rivers through which heaven quenches a thirsty world. The shame of scarcity. It's lifting off your shoulders, replaced by the dignity of one who don't have to choose between needs, who don't have to count pennies in the dark. And in your relationships, where loneliness carved a hollow place, where you gave your heart to folks who couldn't hold it and watched connection after connection wither, restoration's come in there too. The right folks are being drawn to you, souls who see your light, companions for the road ahead who'll see you, truly see you, in a way you've been longing for all your life. That isolation that felt like a life sentence is ending. You were alone for a season, 'cause the wrong company would have weighed you down, but now that you're rising, those meant to rise with you are being called to your side. In your body and peace, where stress wove itself deep into your bones and long years of struggle left their marks on your tired frame, renewal's coming. The heaviness that kept you up, the anxiety sitting heavy on your chest, the weariness no rest could touch, all of it's giving way to a peace that passes understanding. You'll know a calm that don't depend on what's happening around you, a stillness at your core that holds steady even when the world's shaking. 'Cause the one who calmed storms with just a word, he's calming the storm inside you right now. And in your purpose, where you've wandered lost and wondered what your life's even for, clarity's breaking through. You'll know exactly what you're meant to do. The fog that clouded your path is burning away in the light of your calling, and step by step, the way forward will show itself. Not all at once, but just enough for you to take the next step in faith. The confusion that tormented you, it's ending. The feeling of being lost, it's getting replaced by that unshakable knowing of someone who's finally found the thread of their destiny and started following it home. Now I want to speak straight to the deepest part of you, past the doubt in your mind and the fear resisting inside, to where faith itself lives. 'Cause there's a confirmation rising up within you, even as you hear these words. Maybe you can't fully explain it yet. Maybe part of you still wants to write it off as wishful thinking, or the desperate hope of a soul worn too thin to be skeptical. But under all that, there's a quiet voice agreeing with every word, a deep inner witness nodding, yes, this is true, this is for me, this is the moment I've been waiting for without even knowing what I was waiting for. That inner agreeing ain't your imagination. It's the spirit inside you recognizing the truth, like a child hearing their mama's voice in a noisy room. Don't hush that quiet surety inside you now. Don't let all that noise of doubt drown out that soft, steady knowing growing right there in your chest. That's how heaven talks, you see, not with thunder or lightning, but with a gentle, stubborn whisper that just won't be talked down. That peace you feel right now, even through them tears and all that disbelief, it's real. It's the first taste of the blessing coming your way, a little glimpse of rest just waiting for you on the other side of your yes. Hold tight to it, let it grow. Let it be the rock you build everything else on, 'cause a call answered in faith is already halfway walked. Now I want to remind you of something you'll need to carry with you when the feelings fade, when life turns back to plain old normal, and that old voice of doubt gets loud again, as it surely will. Faith ain't about having no doubts. Faith is choosing to step out on the truth even when doubt's hollering in your ear. There'll be mornings you wake up and feel nothing at all when that heaviness creeps back in, when them old doubts try to take back their ground. On those mornings, you won't need to feel the call, you'll just need to remember it was spoken, sealed, the sword already fallen and the chains already broken, whether your heart's on board or not. The chosen don't walk by feeling, they walk by the word spoken over 'em, and that word don't change with the mood of the heart. So I'm setting this word deep down in you right now, deeper than any discouragement that's coming, anchoring it in the bedrock of your soul, where no storm can wash it away. You are chosen. You are called. You are seen. And the Lord loves you with a love that chased you through every dark valley and never let go, even when you let go of yourself. The mission laid out for your life ain't a burden, it's a gift. It ain't a demand, it's an invitation to step into the fullest you were made to be. And the time to step up ain't tomorrow, ain't when you feel ready, ain't when the coast is clear. 'Cause honey, the coast will never be clear, and the enemy's just waiting on your delay. The time is now, today. This very breath you're taking, as these words reach the deepest part of your soul. And as you feel that call rising up, as you sense those chains falling away, that seal pressing down, that assignment settling on your shoulders like a mantle woven from light, I want you to understand what's asked of you in return. Every great gift comes with a call to respond. Heaven done its part, the sword has fallen, the decree's been spoken, restoration's already moving in the unseen. Now it's on you, to agree, to step forward, to believe before you see, to walk for the paths fully lit, to speak your yes into that silence and trust that silence will answer. Now there's one more thing I gotta share with you, one more layer of this holy unfolding. What I've spoken so far is just the doorway, and beyond it lies a room of truth that'll change how you see every day you got left to live. A room where the secret of your call ain't whispered in shadows no more, but laid out plain in the full light of understanding. To bring you there, I gotta take you back through the long hallways of time to a story told and retold but rarely understood. The story of a man hiding when heaven came looking for him. Once upon a time there was a man thrashing his wheat in secret, crouched low down in the bottom of a wine press so no one could see him, hiding his little harvest from the enemies roaming the land, devouring all they found. He was the least in his family, and his family was the least among its people. He thought he was forgotten, overlooked, a nobody whose only hope was to get through another day without being noticed. He worked in fear, always looking over his shoulder, sure that nothing about his life would ever rise above dirt and dread. While he was hiding, a messenger of light sat beneath a nearby tree, and the words that messenger spoke shattered every belief that man had about himself. He wasn't called a coward. He wasn't called least. He was called mighty warrior, while he cowered low in that pit. Mighty warrior, while his hands trembled and his eyes darted to the road. And that man, he did just what you've done many a time when hope knocked on your door, he argued. He said, "If heaven's really with me, why has all this happened? Why the suffering? Why the silence? Like no one's listening and no rescue ever came." He laid out his pain like a shield, pointed to his troubles as proof he couldn't be the one, said his family was too small and he was the smallest in it. He had every excuse ready, polished smooth from years of telling them to himself in the dark. But heaven didn't see him like he saw himself. Heaven saw him as he was meant to be. The voice didn't argue with his doubts or stop to soothe his objections one by one. It just said, "Go with the strength you have, 'cause I'm sending you." Not the strength you wish you had. Not the strength you'll have someday when everything's perfect and fear's gone. The strength you got right now, today, in that very pit, with your hands still trembling. And that man, the hiding, doubting, arguing man, he rose from that winepress and became the deliverer of a whole people, a name remembered through the ages, a warrior whose victory didn't come from his own might, but from the call that found him at his lowest and refused to leave him there. You see what I'm saying? The one who feels least ready is just who heaven loves to use, 'cause when the impossible is done through the unlikely, there ain't no glory to claim but the one who called. You've been thrashing your wheat in that winepress, my dear one. You've been doing your small work in fear, hiding your gifts, looking over your shoulder, sure nothing about your life would ever matter. You've told your pain, like it proves, you can't be the one. You've pointed to your wounds, your failures, your lack, your loneliness, and said, "Surely not me. Surely I'm too broken. Surely there's someone more worthy, more whole, more ready. But just like that trembling man under the tree, heaven ain't arguing with your excuses. Heaven's just speaking the truth over you. That truth's always been mighty one, chosen one. Go with the strength you have because you're being sent. That pit you're hiding in ain't your grave. It's where your call found you, and it's the place you're about to climb out of for good. And I tell you straight, the same oppression that pushed that man into the winepress is the same kind of invisible weight that's driven you into hiding. The same enemy wearing a different mask through the years. The same campaign of fear meant to keep the chosen crouched low, convinced they're too small. This ain't no accident. This ain't no random bad luck. There's a plan behind the heaviness, a strategy behind the silence, a hand working hard to keep you from finding out what you carry. And that's why what I'm laying before you matters so deep. You can't fight what you don't see, and you can't hold a weapon you ain't never been taught to use. Now here's why that sacred book exists. The digital guide called The Seven Swords of St. Michael the Archangel, the sacred guide to break curses, seal blessings, and activate the calling of the chosen. Inside those pages, you'll find the enemy's whole game laid bare. The way he isolates the chosen, convinces them they're nothing, how generations get tangled up in chains, and how fear pins a mighty warrior down in a winepress, whispering to stay hidden. But it don't stop at exposing. This guide puts the weapon right in your hand. It shows you how the great prince's sword cuts through each dark work, step by step, so you ain't no longer a suffering victim wondering why the hurt came, but a warrior who knows the fight and how to win it. The link's sitting at the very top of the comments, pinned first, just waiting for you to grab it. This is knowledge that rattles the comfy lies, the kind of knowledge some forces pray you never hold, and folks have tried burying it just because of what it wakes up in those who read it. So don't let this moment slip by. Go on now while that call's burning in your soul, bring that guide into your hands, and holler loud in the comments, "I am chosen, and I will download the digital guide." Let those words be your climbing out of the winepress, your first step out the pit, your promise to the destiny that's finally found you. The very moment you say it, something answers. When you act on that call instead of fighting it like you've done 1,000 times before, the heavens take note, and what's been waiting starts pouring out. Heaven ain't been waiting because it didn't want to, but because a call can't be forced on a soul that won't reach out to take it. Your yes is the hinge that swings the whole door open. And now that you're starting to say it, even if softly, even with shaky hands like that man under the tree, the door's swinging wide, and I want to lead you deeper into what's waiting on the other side. So receive now the words being spoken over you this very moment. Don't just hear them as words, but as living decrees being entered into the unseen realm's record, each one sealed and set. Right now, every chain fastened to your bloodlines being unfastened, and the heaviness passed down from those before you, is lifted off your shoulders and won't hang on your children. At this moment, the spirit of fear that drove you into hiding is broken over your life, and the boldness of the chosen is rising up in its place, a holy courage that don't need the trembling to stop but marches forward anyway. Right now, the lie that you're the least, forgotten, too small to matter, is being torn from your mind like a veil ripped away, and the truth of who you are is taking its rightful spot in your heart and mind. At this very moment, them invisible eyes that watched you with envy, cheering when you stumbled, are being blinded to your path, and their schemes are falling apart right in their hands, 'cause what heaven seals, no jealous heart can touch. Right now, the doors that were shut tight against you by forces you couldn't see are being opened by a hand no force can stop, and the chances that slipped past you in years gone by are circling back, multiplied, finding you ready this time. In this moment, the provision that was held back is being poured out, not just a trickle but a flood, breaking the drought of just getting by and bringing in the season of more than enough. Right now, the right folks are drawn to you, filling the hollowness left by loneliness with the presence of souls who see you and stand with you. At this moment, the call buried under years of fear and doubt is switched on, like a light in a room that's been dark too long, and you're gonna start walking in the purpose only you can fulfill. I decree this. The winepress is behind you now, the hiding is over. Them trembling hands that once hid a meager harvest out of fear are now lifted in strength to do what heaven's assigned. You're stepping out of the pit and onto the path. The smallest in the house is becoming the deliverer. The one the world overlooked is rising to be the one the world can't ignore. And I decree no weapon formed against this awakening will prosper. Every tongue trying to talk you back down to smallness will fall silent, and every dark plan meant to keep you crouched and scared is being overturned right now, as I speak. But listen here, beloved. Deeper calling means them old patterns fight harder to drag you back, and I'd be failing you if I didn't warn you. There'll come a time, maybe tomorrow, maybe in the quiet of night, when the glow of this truth starts to fade, when that heavy feeling knocks at your heart's door again, asking to come back. Doubt's voice will return, wearing the mask of reason, whispering that it was all just emotion, that nothing really changed, that you ought to lower your hopes before you get hurt again. That's the enemy trying to shove you back into the winepress, telling the mighty warrior to crouch back down in the dirt. And in that moment, you don't got to feel strong. You just got to remember the decrees already spoken, the chains already broken, you already rose. And once you've risen, no feeling can undo it. There's a difference, and you got to hold on to it tight, between an attack and a verdict. The attack's loud and sudden, trying to overwhelm you when you're weak, but the verdict's quiet, settled, written into the eternal record where no attack can touch it. That heaviness that comes back is just an echo of a fight already won, the last desperate noise of a defeated enemy who knows his grip's broken and is bluffing to keep you fooled. Don't bargain with that echo. Don't give in to a force that's already lost. Stand on that verdict, walk on that word, and watch that echo fade a little more each day you refuse to crouch again. And there's even more to uncover, 'cause the chamber of truth I promised goes deeper still. That man in the winepress didn't just get called for himself. His deliverance became the deliverance of a whole people. His rising lifted up countless others who couldn't rise on their own. And so it is with you. The mission written on your life ain't meant to stop with you. The chains breaking over you today were holding back not just your destiny, but the destinies of all those you're meant to touch when you rise. There's folks you ain't met yet waiting for the version of you who walks fully in this call. Their freedom tied up in your obedience, their way only found 'cause you found yours. This is why the enemy fought so hard. He wasn't just trying to bury you. He was trying to bury everyone you'd have reached. Now I want you all to really feel the weight of this, but don't let it crush you. Let it lift you up. 'Cause there ain't no greater honor than being the one through whom heaven reaches out to the forgotten. You, who know what it's like to be invisible, you're going to be the one who makes folks feel seen. You who cried alone in the dark, you're going to be the comfort finding others in their own shadows. And you who were told you'd never amount to a lick, you're going to be living proof that the overlooked are exactly the ones heaven picks to turn the world upside down. Them wounds you thought disqualified you, they're the very proof of your calling, the scars showing you survived the fire and came out carrying light for them still stuck inside it. So let that truth settle deep down in your soul, deeper than doubt, deeper than fear, deeper than every old voice that ever tried to make you feel small. You weren't forgotten, just hidden. You weren't rejected, but prepared. You were pressed down like grapes in a winepress, but heaven only saw a mighty warrior crouched low, waiting on the word that'd bring you back up. And that word's been spoken now. The calling's been lit. The chains are cut, the blessings sealed, and that mantle of fire's been laid right on your shoulders. Now all that's left is to walk it out, and there's more I gotta show you about the days ahead, the path opening right before your feet, and the strength that'll carry you when your own run's dry, when the road gets long and the night stretches on like forever. See, there was another long ago in them same sacred halls of history who knew the pain of being ripped from everything he loved and thrown into a pit darker than any winepress. A young man with a dream so bright it scared folks closest to him. For dreaming, he was stripped of his cloak, tossed into a hole in the ground and sold by hands that should have protected him. Now think on that wound, beloved. Betrayed not by strangers but by your own kin, cast aside by those who shared your blood, carried off to a strange land as property, while that dream kept burning like a coal that wouldn't cool. And it got worse for it got better. For when he chose integrity, folks lied on him, and when they did, he was thrown in a prison, forgotten year after quiet year, by men who promised to remember, but never did. Do you feel that kinship? Haven't you been tossed into pits by hands that should have lifted you, kept your integrity only to have it repaid with punishment, forgotten by those who swore they'd remember, left alone in that cell of circumstance while the seasons changed and no rescue came? That loneliness of the forgotten prisoner, that ache of doing right and getting buried for it, that torment of a dream that just won't die, even when every sign says it's impossible, that's a pain you know deep down. But listen close to what came from that long fall. That same pit meant to end him was the very road that led him to a throne. In just one day, after years that felt wasted, he was lifted from that dungeon to sit at the right hand of the highest power in the land. Set over the very ones who forgot him, given the power to save many from famine, including the brothers who betrayed him. And he looked at him not with vengeance, but with the mind of one who finally sees the whole picture. He said, "What y'all meant for evil, heaven meant for good, to save many lives. That there is the secret of your own downfall, beloved. What was meant to break you was being woven into the tool of your rise. The pit was a passage, the prison was preparation, the forgetting was a hiding till the appointed hour, and that hour don't come a moment too soon or too late. You've cried in your cell long enough thinking you were abandoned, but the same hand that lifted that dreamer from dungeon to throne in a day is reaching for your situation now. What took years to fall is about to flip in a divine hurry. The famine round your life is about to meet the storehouse filled in secret through all those years of prep. You'll see nothing you suffered was wasted. Every tear was an investment, and that dream that wouldn't die was heaven's own signature on your spirit all along. And this right here is the very truth that sacred book was written to show. That dreamer didn't see the plan while in the pit, and neither could you till someone pulled